Hey everybody, welcome to Games That Time Forgot. I am October, and this week we're looking at 2008's Viking, Battle for Asgard, put out by Creative Assembly. It's a game about the end of the world that, well, take a look. In Viking, you play as Scarron, a Viking who is, unfortunately, crippled by headaches and visions of the end of the world. This makes him distrusted by his fellow Vikings, despite the fact that he's the only one among them who looks like he could bench press a Lincoln Town Car. Brought back from the dead by Freya, Scarron begins to build the Viking forces to take on Hel, the goddess of the underworld, and save the Viking realm. And that's the entire plot in a nutshell. You want plot twists? Came to the wrong place. You want character development? Not so much. But this kind of makes sense. Scarron is dead. He's a bit too late to change. But at the same time, come on. If you're looking around at the footage being shown right now, this is a lush, vibrant world. Even though, yes, it's raining in the places where Hel's forces have taken over, this does not look like a world that's giving up the ghost. It more so looks like a very pleasant day, ruined by a couple rain clouds, and granted, unholy, undead creatures wandering around with massive swords. But this doesn't really scream, "End of times," to me. It seems more like just pleasant. And that's really one of the problems. The story of Viking Battle for Asgard is told in 3 acts, and in those acts, you travel from different islands. Not different realms. Your interaction with the gods is negligible at best. I mean, occasionally they show up for a cutscene, Freya will show up and tell you why saving some place is important, but that's really it. Then she'll show up during a momentous moment, and that's it. Aren't the gods supposed to die at Ragnarok? Shouldn't they be a bit more active at this time? So why does any of this matter? Why are you bothering to save a world that doesn't seem to need much saving? And that's one of the key problems with Viking Battle for Asgard. There is nothing really there story-wise. There's no meat. There's nothing to grip you in. The visuals are nice enough. I mean, granted, the graphics are console 2008, maybe even earlier, in terms of the grass clearly gets tacked on. It almost looks like a higher scale version of Minecraft. But then the actual epic visuals are epic visuals. The set pieces in and of themselves are still breathtaking right now. But the world isn't ending. This isn't as terrible as they want to make it seem. And that's just the beginning of the problems. Of course, if the hero actually spoke, it might make the lack of story bearable. Scarron doesn't even have any written dialogue. He just stands there blinking. He doesn't say anything, he doesn't emote, and it's no wonder that the other Vikings do not trust him. To top off the humiliation conga line of having a silent protagonist in a cast of voice actors is the criminal underuse of Brian Blessed. He's the narrator in a game that has very little narration. Even when Scarron occasionally has visions where Odin or somebody else, dun dun dun, decides to talk to him, that's just it. You get maybe 2 lines of dialogue from one of the greatest actors with one of the best voices, especially for a Viking game, and that's it. 2 lines of dialogue, maybe 5 moments where you can say, oh wow, this could be really cool. This is apocalyptic. This is the end of the world. I have to do shit. Otherwise, you're just wandering around, occasionally hacking up things that are definitely not orcs. And that's all. There is precedent for this. If you look at a movie like Vanishing Point, or a manga like Akira, each one has moments where you're driving through desolation with Kowalski, or Tetsuo and Kaneda are driving through the streets of Neo-Tokyo, and it's to impart a sense of nihilism, a sense that nothing matters anymore. All actions are being taken for their own sake. It's a bleak and barren existence. That emptiness, that barrenness, can fuel a great story. But there has to be a great story there. Otherwise, it just kind of serves its own purpose. There is nothing. There's no reason to keep fighting. There's no reason to do anything. It's all pointless. That's not really what you want in an epic tale. You can have a self-doubting hero. You can have armies questioning if what they're doing is right, or just staving off the inevitable. But you get none of that. You don't even get a sense of, and the odds are stacked against them. It's too easy to win these fights. It's too simple. It's just, okay, sneak around, maybe you occasionally get overrun when you're on the stealth missions, the quote-unquote stealth missions, but even then, you get to try again, you're instantaneously reborn at one of the checkpoints, and then you go hack slash kill. Oh, look, the Vikings are saved. Now my army's even bigger. There's no sense of being pushed to the wall. Basic storytelling 101, especially for the modern age, is when you do things in a trilogy, the second act has to find everybody at their lowest point, with the armies of darkness getting ready to win. At the end of the second act, you're riding high. It's just going to be a straight charge to victory. And that sense has been there the entire time. There's nothing to make you go, oh wow, this is dangerous. Anything could happen. Instead, it's just, well, we're winning. And we're still winning. Hooray! This is great. And this is really the tragedy of this game. Norse mythology has a great sense of doom hanging over the protagonist. Doesn't matter if they're gods, Odin, Thor, Tyr, Freya, Frigg, any of them. There's always the tragedy of Ragnarok getting closer day by day. Go click over in the links below to Dale Kingsmill's rundown of the myth of Ragnarok. This is totally metal. This is just insane. It's grim, it's gritty, it's darkness. This could have been a great game. The controls are there. As a positive, I have to say this. The combat has never felt better. Everything slides nicely. The combat is, to use a term I know gets tossed around in a lot of reviews, meaty. Because you can feel the impacts. You can feel getting hit during a block. You can feel getting hit when you're not blocking. Like, whoa. And you can feel just your sword slamming in. The combat is visceral, and it's good. It's a shame that there's nothing to justify that combat. It feels like you're almost the villain in a horror story. Why are you hacking up these people? Because they're there. I can't even say there's a great game buried inside Viking. There isn't. It's literally what you see is what you get. A couple of pretty visuals, some phenomenal combat, and that is all. And it's a shame. I really wanted to like this game. I'm giving this 4 Laystones out of 10. I wouldn't go higher than $10. Anyway, folks, that's it for Games That Time Forgot. I'm your host, October. Tune in next time and we will have another game that you might have looked over. Until then, play more video games, people of Earth. Later!